taking it up, and all of a sudden I saw my heart rate. I knew I reached my lactate threshold. And unless I was trained, I better start bringing it back down. But usually I would work my way up. Here's immunity in Virginia right now, and it's part of the problem. Look at this room. Every athletic director should be in this room. There should be someone, if the trainer does not have absolute power through their athletic director, there should be someone at that school who is here, especially in a heat-related sport, who does. And look at the room, they're not here. Now, I don't think there's still a lot of people that believe in no water and loading up on salt pills and tobacco and 2 days all the time, and zoot suits, and kids going both ways and playing special teams and not getting any break at all, which I had to do. But back then, we didn't lose anybody on our team to death. But we had all these people who were injured. And I can't help but think that the people who became defenseless against someone who was not, maybe would have not gotten hurt, even though we didn't have anybody who died on our team. So, I mean, that's when I'm here. But here's the unfortunate thing in Virginia. I don't want to sue you. I don't want to see you in court. But we have some very weak, well, they're strong, actually. They're good immunity laws. They protect you as public servants. They protect police officers, teachers, coaches, emergency services people, firefighters. And what they protect you from is, if you are doing a governmental service, and this is where I can talk for 2 minutes and quit. If you're doing a governmental service, what would normally be a governmental service, and using any kind of discretion, in this state, you are immune from negligence. And since I'm not talking to firefighters or emergency people right now, cops, I'm talking to teachers and coaches, sometimes I talk to bus drivers, that essentially means if you're with the kids, if they're there, you're immune from negligence in the state, believe it or not. What you are not immune from is gross negligence. Back in 1970, the things I just described, which were not understood, were not gross negligence. I can assure you they are now. What you're hearing today, though, is cutting edge. And it may still be ruled by a judge to just be negligence, but someday it won't be. And do we want to see a bunch of kids die because we're unwilling to learn? Plus, I mean, even from a performance standpoint, a kid who's going down because they're so dehydrated and they're so hot, going against another kid, that kid's basically defenseless. From a performance standpoint, somebody who's in a skill position, a receiver, a cornerback, a running back, whatever, how are you trying to teach them timing and everything like that when they can barely walk as far as catching a pass or running a route? It just doesn't work. But here's the other side, and this is what I'll leave you with. Remember the other side of what I was. It wasn't just in a personal injury firm where I do car accidents and truck accidents and a little bit of medical malpractice. I have a problem with suing doctors, so I don't do that. Somebody else does. And I don't like suing public service. But I was a prosecutor for a long time. And you better be a whole lot more scared about them than you should be about me. Because if I sue you, and if I win on gross negligence, your school is either going to have insurance, or you're going to be with a county or city that's self-insured. That's money. But the kids also died or been hurt. But if that prosecutor comes after you for what they consider to be willful or wanton conduct, you're going to jail. So that's, I guess, the real message that I'm going to pass on and why this stuff needs to be taught and learned. Any questions for me? That's the only reason I'm here. I don't get paid for this. I do it about once a week all over the state. I refuse to take the mileage. I don't take any hotel fees. I do this entirely for it. Because I do not want to see you in court, criminal or civil. Any questions? All right, take care of the field.
For those of you who've been here already, to piggyback on that, to get out of order speak for a second, we talked during the week about just doing stupid stuff. stuff that you know is not helpful to the kids. And I kept telling you that if you do that, you're putting yourself at risk. Well, there's your risk, okay? If you're depriving people of water, if you're going over what the Virginia High School League tells you we can practice, there's your risk. I think the program is great, and one of the things that I noticed now, and this has nothing to do with anything, but we live by Lee Davis. My wife, her kids went to Lee Davis, so I told you guys earlier, if I'm not working on Friday night, I'm probably at a Lee Davis game. These kids have been in Mike's program for almost 2 years now. And what I noticed last year was a better football team. Not better coached, I'm not gonna say that. Because you know and I know that we can put the kids in the right spots, but they still can't execute. What I saw last year were kids in the fourth quarter, the third quarter, who were in the right spots and still had the energy to execute, which hasn't really happened at Lee Davis before. They're losing to some of the teams very large to very little. And last year they were in games in the fourth quarter. And the reason they were in games were because these kids had the energy in the fourth quarter. They had the glycogen stores, the mitochondria, to be able to continue to perform at the level they did in the first quarter. Coaching is part of that. But you guys know as coaches, you can always tell somebody what to do, and if they physically can't do it because they're exhausted, you know, that linebacker steps into the hole, and if he's too tired, he's arm tackling. If he still has that energy in the fourth quarter, he's squaring up and tackling to somebody. The defensive back in the fourth quarter, if he has no energy, that guy on the outside, the running back turns the corner, he's gone. If he still has that energy in the fourth quarter because he hasn't blown everything in 3 quarters, he can catch that guy on the corner, which hasn't happened, and Mike's been around Lee Davis for a long time. And again, I'm not saying it's anything to do with coaching, because I think coaches do a great job with high school kids. Kids are in better shape. Kids in the fourth quarter still have the ability to do what the coaches want them to do. The only difference between 3 years ago and today is this program. I've seen it several times in a couple conferences. He brought it to us at school one time, and the gentleman who had a heart attack was how old? 70 years old. Putting him on this program and watching his numbers go up to lactic acid threshold were unbelievable. And then when he was done, he told us where he started. 70-year-old man from a heart attack was reaching lactic thresholds that none of our athletes are reaching.
You've been doing it for 2 years.
Right. I mean, the numbers, as Mike said, the numbers don't lie. They don't lie. The science is out there. It's just a matter of how long Mike is going to have to work to get this to people out there. Again, when we talk about liability and heat illness the first day, there are about 110 people in here. There should be 200 people in here right now.
Thank you all for coming, and again, Mr. Berry, thank you for your time.
Always.
Guys, I know it's fast-paced. Anybody that has any questions about this, we would love to come out to your school and give a presentation in a slow-down fashion, just like he's talking about, to the AD, athletic trainer, and coach. And once they get a chance to see it, it's just like anything else. They're going to want to believe, because it's stuff that the cardiologist, the athletic trainer, the team physician, they're all going to be for.
And I'll come to you and teach them the law, no problem.
Thank y'all.